and welcome to today's edition of Meldon Law and Friends, a weekly podcast brought to you by Meldon Law, a statewide law firm with its primary office in Gainesville, started 50 years ago by this man to my right, Jeffrey Meldon. We also have offices in South Florida covering the entire Tri-County area, Miami-Dade through Broward up through Palm Beach County, and of course in Marion County, where we've been for 43 years, almost as long as Gainesville. However, last week, I know many of our viewers, quite a few people, friends locally in Gainesville, friends in Ocala, went to the big grand opening, Jeffrey, and I know that was quite an event.
It was really exciting, Chris. We had the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, there, Albert in Alberta, DJ Elio Piedra, who did a great job. I love the songs he was playing, and of course, celebrate that great. If you're having a grand opening party, you got to have a little Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then it was really cool. The guys from ESPN 850 showed up. Jeff
Pat
Cardozo
Dooley
and Pat Dooley,
Buddy Martin, and
Buddy Martin.
We had all kinds of people.
The mayor of Ocala was there. The Chamber of Commerce showed up in full strength. So it was a great time. The most meaningful thing to me was all of the friends of ours in the Marion County area that showed up to celebrate with us. They were so excited, and Coach Spurrier was so gracious to sit there and sign autographs for them, and put on we have our Meldon Law visor now. So it was really exciting time. It was fun. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves, and the biggest gift of all was there was no rain.
I was about to say, it was really incredible. We were sweating bullets there the day before, and the morning of the event, we're thinking rain, 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 and how incredible. The skies parted, divine intervention, whatever the case may be. It was a wonderful evening, and again, thanks to everybody who showed up. And hey, stay in touch. We're going to have more giveaways, things on the website. We did lots of stuff this spring, and I know that come the fall, there'll be a lot of ticket giveaways and things. Just go to the Meldon Law website at meldonlaw.com, and you just go to the very top of the front page. You'll see things and lots of stuff on the horizon.
Yes, we're very excited, and that really brings us into our show today.
It is.
Where we've got a couple great Gator greats who have been involved in promoting the University of Florida athletics in different ways. Our first guest is Lee Douglas. You want to do the introduction?
Sure. I'm particularly excited about this one because the business of sports is something I've always been fascinated by. And like Jeffrey said, we've got from Gator Sports Property and from Learfield IMG College, Mr. Lee Douglas. Lee, welcome to the program.
Chris, Jeffrey, great to be here.
Why don't we start off by a little bit of history? I know what IMG is, the impact of Mark McCormick, but maybe for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, a little bit of history.
Yeah, as we say, our company name means very, very little. When I started 10 years ago, it was with IMG College, and IMG College was a part of the IMG conglomerate, which is in the agent representation business. Sure. You mentioned Mark McCormick. The whole company began with him representing Arnold Palmer.
Right.
They quickly diversified into representing models and got into things like Fashion Week in New York and Fashion Week in Paris and Milan and around the world. They got into representing companies, became with a consulting business. They merged with WME, William Morrison,
yeah,
and ultimately became Endeavor, which is a company that survives now. About 2 years ago, Endeavor and Learfield agreed that they would merge the collegiate aspect. So IMG College merged with Learfield. Thus, we are Learfield IMG College. But what we do is we represent colleges and universities as far as what their marketing assets are concerned. So really, the name Learfield IMG College means nothing for me. We are Gator Sports Properties. We represent the Florida Gators and the marketing assets. In the state of Florida, we represent Florida, Florida State, and FAU. In the Southeast Conference, we represent everybody except for Kentucky and Auburn and LSU. We represent about 85% of the Power 5 schools around the country, a number of bowls, a number of other things like that. But as I say, honestly, our corporate name means nothing. What we do is we represent the Florida Gators.
And in representing the Florida Gators, can you tell us a little bit about what the partnership is like, and also about the Gator brand? I've heard that the Gator brand is one of the most powerful brands in the state of Florida.
Well, Jeffrey, it is true. If you take a look at Scarborough data, there are more people in the state of Florida that say that that Florida Gators is their brand of choice, their team of choice, than any other sports entity in the state. I have a long background in Atlanta, kind of born and raised there. I've been here with the Gators for 10 years. When I started talking to IMG about coming down, I really honestly wondered what it was like to come to a state that at the time had 10 professional teams, had 3 teams in the Power 5 with Florida, Florida State, and Miami, had 2 schools in UCF and USF, that top 10 in the country as far as attendance is concerned, as far as student enrollment is concerned. What would it be like to come into that particular environment? Well, first and foremost, you take a look at the strength of the Gators. On the pro level, honestly, they tend to divide the state. If you go to South Florida, you've got Dolphins. You got Heat. You've got Panthers fans. If you go to the Bay Area, you got the Bucks and the Lightning and the Rays. And if you go up to Jacksonville, you've got the Jaguars. In Orlando, you've got the Magic, and you've got Orlando City. So with it, but college really knows no boundaries. If you're a Gator fan, you don't stop here and begin here. So with it, we from the Panhandle to the Keys, we really have the state covered, and really honestly, countrywide and globally, there are Gator fans everywhere.
Yeah, how would you compare the Gator brand to other brands, big brands in the state, like Disney World, Publix, brands like that? The world of marketing is all about segmentation. All right, who are you reaching? How are you reaching? And what's there? The college space is such that typically, if you're a fan, if you're a Gator fan, or you're a Seminole fan, or you're a Hurricane fan, or you're a Georgia Bulldog fan, typically that's who you are. There's not a lot of superficiality associated with the collegiate fan. So there's a passion that's there, that where you sit there and go, hey, the orange and blue, that's what I bleed. Publix, on the standpoint here, has a great brand as it relates to, and what's their positioning, is that, they've got great stores, their staff is well trained, they've got great public service and customer service, that it's going to be clean and everything like that. That's going to be their brand.
So I don't know if I warned you before the start of the program, but we also take questions. So for those of you out there watching, and we've already got one we'll get to in just a second, type your question in on Facebook Live. We've got a terrific guest, Mr. Lee Douglas from Gator Sports Properties, and we've got a question. How do I go about to market my business with the Florida Gators?
Well, you can go on our website, Gator Sports Properties, or Learfield IMG College. Take a look at that. You can give me a call. I've got a wonderful staff. So if you're interested in learning more, we'll certainly get back to you and engage in those particular types of discussions. We'd love to talk to you.
I want to say, Lee, it's been so exciting for Meldon Law. For the last 7 months, we've been closely involved with Gator Sports as the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And I want to, commend it to any big businesses that want to get engaged with Gator Sports.
Certainly.
It's a top-notch organization. I was asking you earlier about, the brand itself. From our experience, wherever we go, the Gators are well recognized. Yeah. And I mean, I'm in France wearing my Gator stuff. I'm in Spain. I'm in Amsterdam. I'm going to Colorado next week. I'll wear my Gator stuff, and people come up to me, go Gators, or hi, where are you from,
Or
and
give you the jump.
give you
Oh,
the
you
jump.
betcha.
Yeah. So, from my experience, I've traveled around the world, and I always bring my Gator gear around because I know it's going to strike up a conversation. I'm going to meet some fun people.
We got a question. How does UF rank nationally in marketing partnerships and spend?
Listen, great question. And all I can tell you, I don't have exact numbers, as you might expect, being a particular company or a school in the third largest state in the country. With it, the Gators really are among the top. With it, I know, Ohio State, people that you
Sure.
obviously would think
Texas,
on the standpoint
yeah.
of Texas, and
Yeah.
others on the standpoint of where they go. But the Gators are obviously a great brand. A lot of it began with Jeremy Foley, and really kind of the pillars that he set down. And if you sit there and listen to Jeremy, it was if indeed you put Gators or put Florida on the front of your jersey, you're going to represent and you're going to compete at the highest level. And so the success that they've had, and one measure which we talk about is the fact that there's a Directors Cup that's given by the National Collegiate Athletic Directors, been given out for roughly 35 years. Florida is the only school in the nation that's been in the top 10 all 35 years. And this represents the performance across 20 of your programs. So there've been, if you take a look at that period of time, there's been some times where from a football aspect, you know what, they haven't won a game, or they've won one or won two. But it's the strength across the board.
Right, we talk about that a lot, right.
As it relates to all of the programs that are there.
Yeah, I know. I always follow that. And Stanford always gets higher rankings than a lot of the other teams because they have so many more sports they compete in.
They
so
do.
but if it was sport to sport, I think we would be beating
That's
them.
correct. Yeah, Stanford does have a thing because they do it across your top 20, and I think they have like 30 schools, so it's 30 programs, so you can drop your 10 worst.
Oh, is that how it works?
And so with that, top 20, and Florida only has 21. So, but anyway, it's a great tribute that obviously that Jeremy began, and then Scott Strickland is really just taking the brand and elevating it even further.
We were talking earlier about the fact that, football is the big dog, obviously, but if you live in Gainesville, Ocala, and this area, we are so blessed to have so many incredible sports teams, both women's and men's teams, other than football.
No question about it. Is sit there and take a look at obviously the strengths from attendance aspect are football, our men's basketball, gymnastics, softball, baseball, all just traditionally have very, very strong high attendance marks. And and mentioning that's two of the five that I mentioned are women's sports.
We're going to have to take a break in just a second. You're watching again Meldon Law and Friends, episode 35. Hard to believe we've got 34 episodes in the can. So for those of you who've been watching each and every week or most of the weeks, please know how much we appreciate it. We've got Mr. Lee Douglas, the Vice President and General Manager from Gator Sports, Learfield IMG College. Man who certainly has tremendous experience and knowledge as to the sports marketing industry. We'll be talking more about that after the break. Want to remind everybody that we are a law firm specializing in personal injury cases and criminal defense. Take a look at our website, meldonlaw.com. We will be right back after this.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, But if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Hello and welcome back to today's edition of Meldon Law and Friends. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. Hard to believe we are just about halfway through this year. And again, whether you're watching us on Facebook Live, whether you're checking it out at a later time on YouTube, or listening on one of our 39 audio platforms, please know how much we appreciate you being a part of this program. For those of you watching live, you can type a question in the comments section of the Meldon Law Facebook page. So if you've got a question for Lee Douglas from Gator Sports Properties, we have another terrific guest, a man who needs no introduction, Dr. Pete Indelicato, longtime team physician for the Gators, will be on for the second half of the show, and maybe you even have a question for this guy, for Jeffrey Meldon. He just got his 50-year medallion from the Florida Bar, extraordinarily well-deserved for my mentor and friend. I'm really proud of you, Jeffrey.
Well,
I know that meant a lot to you as well.
Yeah, I was down in Orlando, Florida last week for the Florida Bar Convention, and we had a big dinner with all the lawyers that had been members of the Florida Bar for 50 years. And actually there were some 51 because last year they didn't have a conference, so we doubled up this year. But it was really cool. I saw some friends that came up I hadn't seen in 40 years, 45 years, and we started telling war stories, and it was a blast.
I can only imagine.
See them still out there, and most of them were still in the game.
I'm going to toss to Lee with a question. We talked about this beforehand. How about your Atlanta Hawks? You worked for the Hawks for a long time, I saw from your resume, and heck, they're in the Eastern Division Finals.
Yeah, listen, I mean, Hawks have been in Atlanta since the late 60s.
Sure.
And this is only the second time they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals, so obviously a great thing for them, and obviously the city's on fire with excitement on the Hawks.
I sure imagine they are. My son is a huge fan, so he's super excited.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Lee about that because you started working with the Atlanta Hawks in 1978.
Believe it or not.
Okay.
That's right. I was about 4 years old when that happened.
So that means you must have known Ted Turner.
Absolutely, Ted. At the time, owned the Hawks and the Braves, from a personal standpoint, and was actively involved in the franchises. And obviously, kind of as an evolution from Ted owning to Turner Broadcasting to Time Warner to whatever. But Ted was a fascinating person, great visionary. Saw the Hawks and Braves as a platform really in order to launch TBS and the Superstation.
I remember, I think it was Andy Messerschmidt. There was somebody who was number 17, but he changed the name to Channel 17 rather than the name of the player. It said Channel 17.
Yeah, it was a local station. It was an independent station in Atlanta that Ted saw the ability to put the signal up on a satellite and become one of the early cable stations across the country.
What was he like in person, in meetings and hanging out with him?
What you saw with him was a incredible spirit and desire to compete. And you saw that from a business aspect as far as what he was doing with TBS, and then the whole launch of, whether it was TNT or CNN or whatever the case is. He won America's Cup. He was,
that's something he did. Yeah.
He won America's Cup, and then, and then as it relates to the sports teams, he really had a thing. From standpoint, wanted to provide the resources and stuff in order to compete. So,
did he get involved at all in meetings and figuring out what direction?
Much more in baseball than basketball, but anyways, he was a great visionary. And you saw that in all walks of life as to what he was doing. Yeah,
well, you were vice president for the Hawks, and then later on with the Braves as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my day-to-day was really Hawks. I worked for Stan Kasten, who at one time, Stan was president of the Hawks, the Braves, the Thrashers, as well as chairman of Phillips Arena. So my role with the Braves was really more as a consultant to Stan and to Bob Wolf. As it relates to marketing expertise. Stan and Bob, interesting, are together with the Dodgers now and involved in that particular franchise.
We have another question. The question is, it looks like this is toward Jeffrey. We love when you give away tickets. Will you be doing the same again next year? And how many years is your partnership with the Gators?
Well, the answer to the first question is yes. We are going to be giving away tickets, and we're excited. We're going to have football packages, but just as important, the other sports that the Gators are involved in, all the way from basketball, gymnastics, volleyball, softball, baseball, have a tremendous amount of interest in the local community. And in fact, it's mostly the local people, Gainesville, Ocala, and the surroundings, that show up for these other events, and we're going to be promoting them. Part of our excitement of working with Gator Sports is to take some of our resources and promote events that you don't hear about as often as, say, football. Football's on, TV, radio, in the newspaper, football, and we all love football. However, there's a lot of excitement that goes on in these other sports. So it's really something that I'm dedicated to. And we've had a long partnership in sports activities throughout the North Central Florida area, and we intend to continue.
All right.
Jeffrey, I'll just say this. I commend you as it relates to the partnership. I mean, one, it's great to have you on board, but the other is partnerships take a lot of different forms and are there for a lot of different reasons. Some are just for brand awareness or association. They just want to associate their brand with the great brand of the Florida Gators. Some are looking for differentiation. Some are looking for activation. I mean, as we talk about, we marry fans with brands. And you've come on board with a lot of energy and zesto as it relates to not just sitting back and saying, hey, Meldon Law, the only official law partner of the Florida Gators, which could be easy to do. But you have taken the assets and gone out into the community and really having the opportunity for people to taste what's great about the Florida Gators.
Well, I'll tell you, Lee, we're so excited. I mean, Chris and I went to a ton of baseball games.
Oh, yeah.
I went to softball games, gymnastic events, and so I like to immerse myself in it so I can be really enthusiastic about it.
We're talking about these other sports, and just look at the news. The Gators that are qualifying for the Olympics and swimming and track and field. We had that young man win the NCAA championship in the hammer throw last week. Lots of people we'll be seeing over the summer in the Olympics, certainly.
No question. And you take a look at the softball that gets invited to the national teams and other things like that. So, number of Gators that are playing in Major League Baseball today. So, there's a lot of news as it relates to other sports.
I think you're pretty much answering this question I'm about to ask in just our overall discussion, but let me put it out there. Why do companies invest in sports marketing, whether it be a bank, whether it be a supermarket, a law firm? What do you find is the common thing that they're looking for?
As we say, people talk about it being sports marketing. We just happen to be marketing in the world of sports.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Companies on the standpoint are taking a look at how do they achieve their business and their marketing objectives. And the great thing is that there's a lot of opportunities that are out there. The one thing that sports has the ability to do is go back to that marrying fans with brands, but also to tap into that passion that exists in sports. And whether it's at the professional, whether it's at the collegiate, whether it's at the amateur level, there's just something that's different about sports. It's the ultimate reality show.
You're so right, because that's the one thing. You can watch TV, but when you have a live sporting event coming on and it's in real time, there's nothing like it.
Oh,
yeah,
it is so much the truth.
I was watching last night this Vanderbilt World Series game, and they were playing NC State, and Vandy has the best pitcher in the country pitching, and he loses the game 1-0 on one pitch, one bad pitch,
Wow.
and he struck out 15 batters, and I'm going, wow, that was, you know.
For old timers like me that remember Al Leiter, who pitched for the Mets.
Sure.
This is his son, one of the top pitching prospects in college. But you know, it's what's great. You don't know the outcome. You talked about the Hawks Sixers, right? You know, there are cases where the underdog wins.
That's right, on the road. I mean, how about that?
And that's what's great about sports. And you know what? There are companies out there that say, you know what? If I can tap into that passion, if I can marry my brand with that passion, that sets me apart. And that's what we do.
Well, I'm really proud to be associated with, you know, the Gators and everything that comes with it.
Sure.
And the best part is it's fun. 'Cause I live here in Gainesville,
It is.
and I get to go to all the events. And, you know, it's so easy for us. We drive 5 or 10 minutes, and boom, we're there at
That's
the
right.
arena.
Nothing's too far away here.
Wherever it is, and it's been fun.
I think I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up something that was huge in the news yesterday. And the U.S. Supreme Court, it's still on everybody's mind. We don't know fully what it means yet, but issued what they're calling a landmark ruling against the NCAA that, as I read it, it's going to limit the ability of colleges to, or it's basically taking away the college's ability to limit the benefits.
Right.
In other words, it seems like it's opening the door for a lot more benefits to be offered to athletes. So, do you have any thoughts on that preliminarily?
Well, you know, this kind of dovetails into the name, image,
Right.
and likeness that's around. You know, I'll say on one aspect, it underscores the lack of anything that draws us all together from a country standpoint, whether it's the NCAA, whether it's the Senate and the House or what, is that there's no universal governing body. So people are still trying to figure out what it means. Not every state has even passed something as far as name, image, and likeness is concerned. Those that have passed something, there's no uniformity. What Florida has passed doesn't mirror what another state has passed. So it begs on the aspect as to how do you bring it all together? But I think all of it comes together is to sit there and say that as student athletes, their name, image, and likeness is something that they own and possess, and how can they go out and they can monetize that particular thing? So
well, it's going to be interesting. I think, you know, we were talking earlier. Social media may be, you know, the most direct way if athletes have a big following, but there's going to be lots of other opportunities, and I think it's going to be good, particularly for the athletes who felt like they were disadvantaged. They were working their butts off, and they came from families that couldn't really afford to give them much in the way of extras. And I've always felt like they were contributing so much to the universities that they played for that there should be some way for them to be able to go to college and have the money necessary to have the same experience as the kids that came from well-to-do families. So I think that may be the good part of it. I think the other part that's going to be crazy is you got a bunch of 18-year-old kids who have never seen much money that all of a sudden are going to be coming into this wild world, and we know there's going to be some crazy stuff going on about it.
We've only got about a minute or less left, but real quick, what about a young person who wants to do what you're doing, wants to get into the business side of sports? Any quick thoughts on how they can do that?
You know, there's no one way. It's not like you don't have to go to med school, you don't have to go to law school to get into the business. Once people start peeling away the layers of the onion, take a look at the world of sports and sports marketing, there are a number of opportunities that exist.
Sure.
Whether it's at the college or the pro level, whether it's with events, whether it's with facilities, whether it's with agencies, whether it's with companies, whatever that's out there. It's volunteering. When you take a look at, you know, whether it's bowls, whether you look at golf events, whether you look at other kind of things that are out there, whether it's, you know, University of Florida, a great way to sort of learn and to get your name out there is to volunteer and see what it's all about.
Great point. Thank you again very much, Mr. Lee Douglas from Gator Sports Properties. Real quick, website where people can go to learn more?
You know, this LearfieldIMGCollege.com.
LearfieldIMGCollege.com. We'll get it up there. Thank you again very much. We'll have to have you back. Talk maybe 6
Yeah,
months from now how the partnership's going.
I have a list of about 25 questions we didn't get to,
So,
but we will.
We'll
get through them.
Thank you so much. You're watching Meldon Law Friends. We'll be right back with the legendary Dr. Pete. We'll be right back.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Well, I was in a truck accident. Because of the accident, I've resulted in 3 back surgeries. We saw advertisements on TV, and guess who popped up more often than that? It was Jeffrey. The communication that he provided was so appreciative. He shows his compassion as a human. He assisted us in achieving one of our dreams, the acquisition of a home, and we're here today with smiles on our face with the assistance from Jeffrey.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're gonna need help, and they will help you.
The Meldon Law Firm from the beginning has been built on giving back to the community. I enjoy coming to work as much today as I did in 1971 when I opened my practice. I don't look at this as a job, I look at it as serving other people. While we're alive, what better feeling can you achieve than knowing that you've helped other people and thereby you enrich your own life?
Being a client at Meldon Law was special because I felt like I was really being listened to and I felt welcome by the entire staff. If I were in a situation where I needed legal advice and help, I would absolutely reach out to Jeffrey because his reputation alone speaks for itself. But on a personal level, I know that he would take care of me and help me solve those problems, and I would feel safe with him.
The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Hello and welcome back to today's edition of Meldon Law Friends. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. My name is Chris Qualman, a co-host on this show, and I'm always proud to be with my friend and mentor, Jeffrey Meldon, founder of Meldon Law. Got his 50-year medallion from the Florida Bar, very well deserved to say the very least. Let's get right to our guest. Dr. Pete, you actually now join our Repeaters Club, along with Alex Marvez and a few others. I think you were on episode number 2, or one of the real early ones. So here we are, 33 weeks later. We're so proud to have you back.
I'm honored.
Dr. Pete Indelicato.
I'm honored, Chris.
All right. Well, Jeffrey, you guys go back a long, long ways, to say the least.
Well, Peter Indelicato is a dear friend of mine. We love getting together. Our lives have paralleled each other. In fact, we were born 12 days apart.
There you go.
Peter is 12 days younger than me, so I get to call you Junior.
We're not going to mention the year, are we?
No. He was in New York, and I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, and it were different worlds. And then we met when we came down here. But by way of background, you wound up in Gainesville in the 70s and somehow wound up getting to be the team doctor for the Florida Gators football team. How did that happen?
Well, it's a long story, but the abbreviated portion of it is that they were looking for
a orthopedic surgeon that specialized in sports medicine, and somebody that would step into a team physician role, they being the College of Medicine. And I was just finishing a special year of sports medicine training out in Los Angeles. So they were looking for a kind of person with my skills at the time, and I'm here, and I've been here ever since.
You're here,
Now-
and you haven't gone away.
So over the years, you had the opportunity to engage with college athletes over and over and over again. Do you stay in touch with some of the athletes that you've become friends with over the years?
Absolutely. I've been fortunate enough to develop very close relationships with a lot of the athletes, and I love bumping into them either at games or here locally in the community. And it's really one of the untold benefits of being a team physician is the opportunity to get really close and personal with a bunch of great athletes.
Yeah, who are some of the folks that you see, fairly regularly now?
Scott Brantley, Chris Doreen,
Oh, yeah.
James Bates.
Yeah, Bates is the funniest. of
Bates,
all.
he's unbelievable.
I love his head ball coach impersonation.
Oh, he does it.
We need to get him on for that. Before I forget, I don't know if we told you, this is a change from the last time you were on. We now take questions live on Facebook Live. So if you've got a question for Dr. Pete, with all he has seen and done, which is quite a bit, text your question by just typing it on the Meldon Law Facebook page, whatever it may be. Maybe even a question for this guy, for Jeffrey Meldon. So whatever it may be, send us your questions. We love getting questions. And if you missed the show or you know somebody who maybe wanted to see it, didn't have a chance to see it, it will be archived on the Facebook page and also on our YouTube, Meldon Law YouTube page. So Dr. Pete, I notice you're wearing a Jaguars shirt. Is there any reason for that? I mean, we know, of course, Urban Meyer is the head coach there. Just favorite team of yours?
It's become one of my favorite teams.
All right.
I've always been a Jaguar fan, but I'm sort of a closet fan. But now I'm a full-bore Jaguar fan.
It's exciting. Yeah.
Obviously because of my pre-existing relationship with the coach and the excitement that's surrounding the potential for that program and that team to really make its mark in the NFL.
So I'd like to ask you this is a very political question, okay?
Oh, here we go.
We have all these Gator fans that were, anti-Urban after he left Florida, and they live in Jacksonville. A lot of my friends and people
One in particular.
Okay, how is that love affair going to get back together?
It's an interesting situation because I've sort of equated it when you talk about love affair. I sort of equated it like your girlfriend leaving you, and as a result, you don't like her because she left you. But I think Gator fans, were upset, to be honest with you, that Urban left and the situations by which that all came about. Hopefully, they can put that aside and really focus on what he did while he was coaching here.
It was amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, 2 national championships, a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
We were able to withstand the onslaught from teams like LSU and Alabama that were riding high. Georgia we beat consistently. I mean, Gators were rocking and rolling. I know that there's been talk that someday we'd like to add Urban Meyer to the Ring of Honor because he deserves it.
He definitely does, yeah.
But it's so funny because I've always been an Urban fan and felt like, he did more for the Gators than anybody except maybe Spurrier. And so my feeling is that people were disappointed when he left. I'm hoping that with the Jaguars relationship and how close the Jacksonville community is with the Gator,
Right.
particularly football, that they'll help repair the relationship. And people really need to get over it.
It's like going to marriage counseling.
Kind of, yeah, very much so. Pete, I know in addition to your many years with the Gators, you were also team physician for the Miami Dolphins, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
You talked about that the last time you were on the show. So what are your thoughts about the Dolphins? They've got interesting things going on in the off season.
Yeah, with some of the draft situations and situations like that. I think, to be honest with you, I think Miami has moved to the second tier now that I'm so excited about Jacksonville.
Sure.
Yeah.
How long do you think it'll take Jacksonville to field a winning team?
By winning, you mean
A
more
winning
wins?
record?
I think it could be this year.
Wow.
I think it could be this year. Yeah.
I mean, if history shows us anything, teams
Yeah.
can turn around in a year or two, just getting the right, pieces in place. And
Right.
like you always say, get the right people on the bus and get them in the right chairs.
Yeah,
That's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had 8 or 9 wins this year.
Boy, that would be great. Well, you should go to Vegas and bet, the over, because I think Vegas has them at about maybe 3.5
Yeah.
or 4 wins this
Maybe our
year.
mutual friend Bobby D's probably all over that already.
Anyhow, I wanted to get into some other aspects of really hot topics right now. Name, image, likeness is coming around. You've dealt with college kids, these 17, 18, 19-year-old kids for the first time away from home, and they're going to be coming here and they're going to be dealing with the ideas of, well, maybe we can make some money off of our own, name, image, likeness. What are your thoughts about how that might unfold?
It's a great question. I think I'm a little conflicted, like a lot of people are, about the situation. On the one hand, as you brought up in the prior section or segment of this show, kids deserve to be rewarded for their identity. If that identity is an opportunity to generate income, and they need to monetize it if possible. But on the other hand, knowing what team philosophy is, I think coaches are going to struggle with the idea of this new idea of monetizing images, because by the very fact that you're doing it, you're taking somebody on that team and making him or her unique. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to maintain that we're all in this together when somebody, for monetary reasons, is different than you.
Well, they do that in the pros all the time, right?
They do it in the pros all the time, but and that may be where we're going with this whole concept.
And then yesterday, the Supreme Court enters a ruling. We're still trying to get our arms around it, but as we were talking during the first segment, it's not so much about name and likeness. It's just about opening the floodgates now that universities, according to the Supreme Court, unanimous decision, the NCAA can't limit them in the number of benefits that they offer student athletes.
And I think, like Lee said, I think this now is pushed it right where it probably needs to be resolved, and that is the U.S. Congress.
Right.
Because you can't have individual states developing their own rules about what's acceptable and what's not. And the NC2A, they say that they're open-minded if the benefits are educationally related. Well, who's going to define what that is?
Yeah.
All I know is college sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Coaches are making $5, $6, $8, $10 million a year, and there's this huge amount of money, but yet there's certain players who are stars on the field, but they can't, go out at night and be on a level playing field with some of their buddies who are on the team who maybe come from, families with more money. and I think it's caused problems in the past. I think it's going to be a mess when it first happens. For sure the Congress is going to have to deal with it, and I'll tell you why. Because as soon as Florida passed the law and Florida was going to have an edge in recruiting, Nick Saban got with the Alabama, and he's probably the most influential person in Alabama, and he said, legislature, if you want to keep your jobs, you pass the same law. And I have a list of all the different teams now, but just about every SEC state has the law now, and so it's going to go national.
Guys, on that thought, we need to cut for a break. We'll be right back with Dr. Pete Indelicato. Hey, if you got any questions, this is your chance. Text your question by just typing it into the comments section on Facebook Live for Meldon Law. And we'll be right back with our fourth and final segment with Jeffrey Meldon and Dr. Pete. Thanks for watching.
When you're a member of the Gator Nation, you know what it means to never back down. Meldon Law has been a proud supporter of the Gator Nation since 1971. Two forces that won't back down. As the old saying goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em. The Gator Nation will be the first to tell you that in all kinds of weather, we all stick together, which is why Meldon Law is honored to be the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. We hope you never find yourself the victim of a serious accident, but if you do, our team is here for you. Gators won't back down from a fight, and neither do we.
Welcome back to today's edition of Meldon Law and Friends. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of June, 2021. This is our fourth and final segment. My name is Chris Qualman. I'm here with Jeffrey Meldon, founder and president of Meldon Law, and Dr. Pete Indelicato, longtime team physician for the Florida Gators. A couple of quick things I want to get out of the way. Please share this show on your social media. Share it on your Facebook page. Tell your friends about it. You can go through the archives, see the great guests we've had over the last 34, 35 weeks, from the head ball coach to many others. We had a great first guest during the first half of the show talking about Gator sports marketing. So, hey, you know, our format for this show has always been, will continue to be, talk about things of interest to the community, talk about things that are timely and things that Meldon Law is doing. And be sure to check out our website at meldonlaw.com. Call us anytime, toll free, 24/7, 1-800-373-8000. You'll either speak to maybe this guy or Kerry Meldon or Richard Perlini, one of the attorneys, whether it's a personal injury question, maybe it's a criminal defense question, DUI, whatever the case may be. Give us a call anytime, 24/7. We'll get your question answered. Okay, we're back with two longtime buddies, Dr. Pete, Jeffrey Meldon. Tell us a war story. Come on, something about Urban
him?
Meyer. Oh, all right, talk about him.
No.
Go ahead. Anything. You guys certainly painted the town red more than once.
Yeah. I've got a lot about Jeff. He's been a great friend, a great community contributor, and his lovely wife Patricia. We have dinner occasionally with them, and I think Gainesville is very fortunate to have somebody of his level and quality here.
Well, I have to say, Patricia really raises the bar as far as an interesting conversation.
She does.
We have such a good time.
She's an amazing chef in her own right, too.
Oh, yeah.
So love your food, Patricia.
Yeah, we have the cook-offs. So anyhow, getting back to what's going on in college sports, Peter, what do you think is going to happen this year with the Gator football team?
You mean from a health standpoint, or from a
Anything?
No, let's
well,
talk
it's certainly
about
going to be.
this.
It's certainly going to be, I think, more exciting
I think so. Yeah.
than this past year. And I think a lot of people don't realize how critically important it is for athletes to peak in their performance, to do it in front of a live audience. And I think part of the reason why our football team sort of tailed off at the end of the season. Why we played 11 straight
Oh yeah,
weeks,
no break.
and in front of basically empty stadiums, and that's very tough for.
And the level of competition, you know, there were
Yeah.
no off weeks, so to speak. I mean, we played an SEC team every
week.
single week.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
So I think, you know, I kind of like getting back to, you know, that you get a few easy games, but then our third game is Alabama, okay?
You know.
And that's going to be
Tennessee's going to be
absolutely-
strong. All the SEC teams, I think, look tough.
I'll tell you what's going to be a tough game. It's in Tampa when we play USF the week before.
Oh,
that.
they're no slouch at all.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, we better show up for that.
I know. Well, I'm hoping that the Gator fans fill the stadium and we have a competitive edge there, because USF isn't really known as a football school, but they're getting
Yeah.
better.
Oh, they had
Yeah.
some good teams.
They've had some good teams.
You know, I have a question for you. You know, one thing I hear on NBA and basketball, they talk about this load management concept, and I'm curious as to your thoughts on that, you know, as an orthopedic surgeon, about the fact that, you know, statistics show allegedly that if you, you know, manage the number of minutes and whatnot, they'll have a longer playing life.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the early stages of really, first of all, collecting that kind of data.
Yeah.
And number one, and number two, interpreting it in terms of the effect on your musculoskeletal system over an extended, defined period of time. So the short answer to your question, Chris, is that we basically don't know, but we will know, given enough time and analysis, just a lot more about the sustainability of your joints and things like that, not only given any given sport, but positions in that sport, because that's how defined this data collecting is.
Well, you know, in baseball, pitch count is right there on the screen
Yeah.
almost all the time. And 30, 40 years ago, I don't even know if anybody kept track of that, except
You had a clicker, you know.
maybe some guy there. Getting back to another subject that you and I have followed over the years is dealing with traumatic brain injury in college sports, particularly football, but all sports that have a high impact. What do you know about what's going on to try to improve safety for college athletics?
Well, there's a lot of money being poured into really high-end research about concussions and sports-related concussions. You know, just like work overloads, concussions are. We first of all know a hell of a lot more about how they occur and how to manage them than we did even 5 or 7 years ago. But you know, again, data is being collected. We're learning more about the impact of your brain as an organ up against the inside of your skull, and how that affects. We know that people have the sleep deprivation, people that have learning disabilities, people that have all sorts of comorbidities, how that influences the frequency of a concussion and the ability to recover from a concussion that we didn't know 5 years ago.
So you've got grandchildren like I do. What are you going to do as far as encouraging your grandchildren to go into these contact sports?
Okay. He always comes up with the zinger of the question.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to say they shouldn't, but I would prefer that they didn't. That's today. Now, when these kids grow up in 5 or 10 years, where we know a whole lot more about it, I may be a little more open-minded about supporting, you know, something like that.
Well, I know when I watch TV now and I see penalties for striking someone head on with a helmet to helmet, I understand it a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
We're not in the Roman days with the gladiators where everybody is wanting to, see somebody, killed.
No.
I think people are becoming more sensitive to it, and I think the game can still be great and fun
Absolutely.
without helmet-to-helmet contact. I mean,
All right.
it's crazy the
Yeah,
impact.
and the data shows that with rule changes, the frequency and the severity of concussions is dropping down. It's not going away,
which
but
is
it's
a
certainly
good thing.
It's very good.
So we have a question for Dr. Pete. Dr. Pete and the head ball coach play golf often. So, who is the better golfer, Dr. Pete or Steve Spurrier?
Steve Spurrier by a long shot.
Not even close.
Not even close.
So I asked the coach what it was like playing with Dr. Pete, and he really loves playing with Dr. Pete because he says, right now he's about the only person he can beat.
And that's the truth.
There's your pal.
And that's the truth. And not too long ago, when I was playing with him, he pulled me aside and he said, Doc says, let me give you some advice about golf. I said, what's that, Coach? He said, take 2 weeks off and then quit.
All right. You just had a tour, I understand. We were talking beforehand that you went to see the new restaurant, the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. So
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We've been talking about it. What are your thoughts?
I am so excited about that place. I think Gainesville desperately needs exactly that kind of restaurant. And the location couldn't be better. I can't wait. I'm going to be, I'm probably going to have my mail delivered there.
You and he, these two guys, pretty much, I have a feeling.
No, it's cool, and we can go downstairs and dine, and it's really exciting. It's a museum for those of you that haven't heard about it. It's not just a restaurant. It's so much more. It's going to be a destination place, just like Disney World. You're going to want to go to, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and then in the beautiful weather that we have here during the fall, the winter, and the spring, we'll be able to go up top to Visors and really enjoy the outdoor weather, watch sports. It's going to be a great experience, and it's not just another restaurant. It's a place where Gator fans are going to really enjoy hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be doing our podcast from
We will.
Spurrier's Gridiron
Starting
Grill.
next month sometime.
Next month sometime, and then anyhow, we're fully supportive of everything that's going on and the hard work. Freddie Wiebe, Coach Spurrier, and the whole team.
Spain,
I mean,
yeah.
The COVID has been so crazy. If anybody wants a great job, they need to check out Spurrier's Gridiron
Absolutely.
Grill, because they are hiring. As many of you know, restaurants were having difficulty hiring A-talent people. If you're an A-plus talent and want to get in the restaurant industry, check it out at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, because there's some great opportunities there.
I got another question for you, Dr. Pete. One thing, I don't know you well like he knows you well, but I know one thing about the two of you. Neither of you guys sit still very long. You've got to have something moving forward, maybe a new gig, maybe some new things. Anything you wanted to tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot more work with the American Orthopedic Society of Sports Medicine, and trying to get their brand name out there. It's a non-for-profit society comprising over 3,500 team physicians who are orthopedic surgeons.
That many? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, when you started, there were a handful,
Yeah,
right?
maybe 100.
Wow.
Yeah.
150, yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
Maybe,
and they weren't just working for teams. They had a regular
They
gig.
had a
and
day
then
job.
and then they say, "Come on up over on Sunday."
It still
or
amazes
Saturday."
me, though, just the advancement in what you do. I mean, back in the days when I was young, I mean, people would get a knee operation, you'd chop it all up, but now, it seems like players are back on the field in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've done quite a good job, but we're not done yet. We still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
More so in preventing injuries.
Yeah, that's a great point.
What are your thoughts on this? Regeneration, stem cell regeneration?
Yeah, I think that has some potential. To be honest, it may be over-marketed and underproducing a little bit.
Something to keep an eye on, though.
It's something to keep an eye on, definitely.
Okay. Guys, we've had a great time. As always, we run out of time anytime Dr. Pete's on the show because he's got so much to say. We might just have to do a full hour with him maybe down the road. Who knows?
Well, we
Bring you
will.
back.
We'll, this is called Meldon Law and Friends because we like to bring our friends on and share some of their insights. And I want to thank Dr. Peter Indelicato for another great and insightful show. And we look forward to coming back again and bringing some more Gator talk and the Jags talk. So that's what we're going to get next fall when the Jags are in the heat of the season. We'll see if they have a shot at having a winning record.
Maybe we'll get some Urban Meyer
I love going
stories.
to the Jags. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see them have a winning season.
Thank you for watching. Check us out on 39 audio platforms. Take a look at our treasury, our treasure chest of old episodes. We got lots of them. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching and listening.